This enchanted lullaby.
There is no truth until you decide what truth is. And each person should find that truth out for his or herself.
This enchanted lullaby. This enchanted lullaby.
You know what? Global family, look in the mirror. I want you to take a good look. You are the champion, the hero of your story. No matter how much praise you may give some of us who may help you on this journey, it is you who has to walk it. We are only a catalyst to help you see.
Tony, again, I give you accolades for, I don't even know what to say, for all the efforts, man, that you put in my behalf.
There is no truth until you decide what truth is.
It is you who has to walk it. We are only a catalyst to help you see.
Person should find that truth out for his or herself.
To help you see.
For his or herself.
Okay, greetings everyone. I hope you are doing well within your time and space. I mentioned time. There's only 1,440 minutes in a day. No matter what your belief system is or who you may pray to, you are not going to get even 1 minute more added to your life. So use your time wisely. So before we begin our conversation today, during the born day of Grand Master Dr. Delbert Blair, I hope you have your favorite beverage of choice. My beverage tonight is some Rubik's tea, and I'm eating on some key lime pie. So, so tonight we will be going over a few tidbits as usual. We would then show a sci-fi-ish new project and get into an archive release of Dr. Delbert Blair for your enjoyment. First, product spotlight will be colloidal gold and colloidal copper. Let me put it here on the screen. All right, so you should be seeing there colloidal gold, which may boost your immunity and magnetic state, which is your vibration, while enhancing your dreams. Now you should be seeing colloidal copper, which is known and may increase your hair growth, skin elasticity, and much more. Of course, this is all available on the website for your consideration. As we all know, one of Dr. Blair's most quotable phrases is, there's no truth until you decide what truth is. But what does this mean? Does it mean there's no ultimate truth of the reality around us? That each individual seemingly just comes up on the fly with their own truth, like there isn't a common thread between all of it? Like 1 + 1 only equals 2 if you agree on it. So if you don't agree, your truth is 1 + 1 = 8. Of course not. Of course, there are ultimate truths set in the foundation of this reality. The premise is that you have to decide for yourself what roads lead to in our truth, while what roads lead to in our falsehood. This has, in this time, become ever more important, has it not? Have we not in most of 2020 focused on the importance of the bonds that we have and who we share them with, whether they be neighbors, friends, and family? We harped on this quite a bit during the last few months of 2019 and, of course, all throughout 2020. Since the elder ascended, many of you have been joining in throughout the last 4 years, going through the teachings of each house, while learning the lessons one needs to learn to elevate through the chakras to be able to withstand the negative energies that surround us. While others are crumbling and becoming more darker, figuratively and literally, heavy with the energies of the void. While you are becoming light in mind, clearer in thought, and the void's grip becomes ever less. So, on behalf of the Grand Master, Dr. Delbert Blair, and all of us at the Meta Center, past, present, and future, we would like to thank all of you for your patronage, for your earnest effort in staying balanced, your earnest effort in focusing on what actually matters in life and not in the programming that goes on in this reality, attempting to change one into nothing more than a shell without a ghost. So without further ado, let's get into this phase 2 sci-fi-ishness. And so here we go. Let me get it going here. All right.
Detect, observe, nullify. Algorithmic Research Foundation.
Greetings, my name is Alex, and I will be your guide into the basics of becoming an agent of the Algorithmic Research Foundation. Amongst the global network, we tend to just refer to it as the Foundation. To give a bit of history, years ago in the summer of 2012, I was at a meeting of esoteric nature when a young man, well, seemingly young that is, stood up and told those who were practicing certain aspects of esotericism that they're only pulling on the void of reality, which causes much more negative than positive. He was mainly ignored, which he didn't seem to care, but then he went on explaining the nature of our shared existence, how it is manipulated and why. He also emphasized the power we hold. As such, what was really intriguing is that he stated he could show anyone present if they were interested. I called his bluff. He asked me a question, I answered with what I thought was a witty response learned from years of studying, and with simplicity of a few words, he proved I had wasted my time. We walked outside, where he showed me the mechanisms of our reality in action, some of which now shall remain classified, and what a portion became the Foundation and other ventures large and small, including events in the upper Midwest, near the vortex, that took participants through the process of detoxing from the void and how to resist it. The protective lining between worlds is becoming ever thinner each cycle. The murmurings from the void are heard by more people. The pestilence is spreading. We are now in phase 2 of global operations, and this tutorial shall be utilized as basic training for agents of this world, and those who reside in and outside of known space. Based on merit, advancement in the Foundation is possible, as well as meetings and yearly conferences. Both genders are welcome, as well as anyone over the age of 18. All information, including latest assignments, meetings, news, and more, can be had at the coordinates listed during this tutorial. We welcome you, Agent, and remember to always stay balanced. The Spectre has always been watching. All is known. Detect, observe, nullify.
Detect, observe, nullify. Algorithmic Research Foundation.
Greetings, agents. My name is Destiny, and I have been asked to train you on the basics of detecting a nuance in your environment. Please note this is only basic training and more advanced techniques are available. I will give 3 obvious examples of a nuance. First, let's say you live in an upper class part of town where it's always quiet, no crime of any sort, and this is the daily occurrence and normal for you. And one day, you walk outside and you see panhandlers walking down the street, a horde of them, ravaging the neighborhood in questions of monetary concern. This would be very odd, right? Well, this is a nuance and should be notated. Second example, let's say you're living in the rough part of town. Crime is a daily occurrence, so this is normal for you. But when you walk outside, you see a suited pianist in the middle of the street playing Riviere by Debussy. This would be very odd, extremely in fact, and this would be a nuance and should be notated. Third example, you are driving, and when you pull up to an intersection, every single vehicle is the same color in all directions. This would be odd, right? This is a nuance and should be notated. Nuances can be a person, place, thing, a concept, or even an idea. To give an example of a nuance that you may be familiar with is the classes that took place near the upper Midwest vortex. The very idea of classes like that existing is a nuance, let alone the presenter. The very existence of the foundation is a nuance. A global, otherworldly organization. Is that not strange? Lastly, nuances may not always be so forefront and noticeable. Keep your eyes open and ears peaked. When these take place, notate what happened, the time, the location, who or what was involved, the outcome, if it concluded, and any other details you may notice. The slightest detail could change an outcome when Tier 2 agents are dispatched. There are other techniques that require a bit more formal training and will be open to agents who put forth earnest effort. Adam will go over specifically how to navigate the website next. We welcome you, agent, and remember to always stay balanced. The Spectre has always been watching. All is known. Detect, observe, nullify.
Detect, observe, nullify. Algorithmic Research Foundation.
Welcome, agents, to the Foundation. I am the Algorithmic Tactical Observing Mechanicum, or commonly known as ATOM. Concerning Tier 1 activities, I am your concierge to new nuances across the plane, dispatching of agents, events and conferences. I am the longest member of the Foundation, created by the hand of the Spectre, 23 years, 4 months, 1 week, 23 hours, 5 minutes and 51 seconds ago. The Foundation shows gratitude for many of you being along on the journey across time and space, with many internal vortexes becoming ever more aligned, decreasing the void's influence in sectors where variances erupt, which is paramount. You will see on your viewing device a description of an anomalous event that took place in Gary, Indiana, USA. This location was stated by multiple eyewitnesses to have high levels of void activity. An agent was dispatched, conducted interviews, and an official location was added to the global network master file. Since then, this location status has been changed to an inactive state because the variance the nuance was housed in has been destroyed. Just because a variance that housed a nuance is destroyed does not necessarily mean the nuance has been nullified. Only precise algorithmic tactics can nullify a variance or nuance event. Not all variances or nuances can be nullified. Next, I will train you on the simple actions of navigating the website to submit a report. Please check the official website for updates, reports, and conventions. Key into your handheld terminal the coordinates of www.arfdon.com. Then in the main menu bar, click on Submit Report. Here you will find all details needed to submit a Tier 1 report to the Foundation. Please disregard the first area of input, which asks for your agent number, as Tier 1 agents do not have an identifier in the database. If you have been added, input your identification here. Advancement is possible based on earnest effort. Merit is a virtue after all. Please stay tuned for future updates. As I now have run computations for Agents Off-World, we welcome you, agent, and remember to always stay balanced. The Spectre has always been watching. All is known. Detect, observe, nullify.
Okay, so I hope you enjoy that very sci-fi-ish trailer in training tutorial. Did you enjoy it? Let us know. So, well, along with the Meta Center, continue to host events concerning health and wellness, superhuman classes or related classes, etc. The foundation will also have events, meetings, and classes. Now, some of you have contacted us in mass, now seeing how important the superhuman classes are and were, and want to participate. Even though the motto is always keep it moving forward, there will be one-on-one superhuman sessions, mainly focusing on the most important aspects of each class, since each class was 5 to 8 hours long. So when you came to superhuman training session 1, almost 4 years ago, session 2, each one was literally 5 to 8 hours long. And so all of that would be the most important aspects of each class will be squished into one day, which will go for about 10 hours. There are requirements since the one-on-one sessions will be one-day power sessions. So you can learn more about it on the Meta Center website, in which under services and on a few other categories, you will see the link, see what the requirements are. They're booked about 3 or so months in advance. And when you come to Chicago, we will get it in. And it's all about you. So it will be even geared and created for your personal strength and growth. Okay, versus having an open class and being more general about it. So this summer, we'll be doing Superhuman Training Session 7, which is completely outside the box and is light years past what we spoke on before. So if you came to classes before, keep doing what you are doing moving forward, and there will be a repeat of 7 for those who attended at least one but multiple sessions in the past, sometime in the future. But while we are in the present, don't let the current classes pass you by, like the upcoming class on creativity and herbology 301. Also, it's of great importance. On the last podcast that we had, we talked about fasting. And right now, all across the world, people are participating in the fast. The fast has 2 phases. One phase is that you go each and every day, every other day, without eating. If you're able to, and if you do need some sustenance, that's fine. You could drink smoothies, just nothing, so liquid only, pretty much. But you could drink fruit or vegetable smoothies or vegetable juices if you need that. Okay, but you go, like, for example, you'll go Monday, and you should see that on your screen as well now. You'll go Monday, and let's say, for example, you will eat Tuesday, you won't. Wednesday, you will eat. Thursday, you won't. Okay? And this is something that you could do for a lifetime. This is not something that, even though we're doing this kind of challenge for now, but this is literally something you can do for your lifetime. And this challenge, of course, has been perfectly created to purposely increase your willpower. And so it's not just the health benefits that one may receive from this, in which you will, but at least most will anyway. But it is the increasing of willpower, and that's why it was created this very specific way. The phase 2 aspect of it is no eating of sugar at all. So no added sugar, no artificial sugar. Now someone say, well, I got some natural sugar. No natural sugar unless you're getting it directly from a fruit or vegetable. So for example, let's say you're eating an apple, or you're making a fruit smoothie. Okay, no added honey, no agave, no fructose, none of that. In fructose, if you don't know what I'm talking about, in health food stores, they'll have concentrated fructose. It's literally just sugar. Okay, and so it's supposed to be a little bit more healthy, but still just sugar. No added anything, but the natural sugars that are in our fruits is fine. Okay, and the more you detach yourself from the artificialness of this reality, including the sugar, okay, you will notice that when you eat a apple, or you eat an orange, or you eat I was gonna say a tangerine, but you eat just different fruits, peaches, apricots, all these things that are out there, you will notice that you will get that sugar boost because now your body has been detached from the artificialness that we are plagued with. So I hope that you have been taking advantage of that. So lastly, before we get into playing one of the archive tapes, the entire world can participate in the foundation activities, as you can do them where you reside on the planet. So, but when it comes to the events of the foundation, stay tuned to the foundation's website, its Instagram and YouTube channel, since you won't find any more updates of it here on the Meta Center channels at all. Okay, it's just like its own separate energy, and so you can stay tuned to it there, unless there's a super important announcement that we will put it on the different platforms and different websites. It is its own thing, so if you're interested in it, stay tuned to that. So hopefully inside and outside of time and space, and hopefully you will join us so we can travel to and explore these different planes together. So now let's get into a Dr. Delbert Blair episode from the archives. Enjoy energy portals and stargates. We'll be playing a portion of it here. If you find it interesting, you can acquire it, at least the rest of it, on the Meta Center website. This is from the year 2005, which is around the time that I met the Grandmaster. So here we go. Enjoy.
How are you doing?
We're doing great, Dr. Blair, but we got some ominous numbers coming up, and I know you this is your era tomorrow, 555, or Cinco de Mayo for our Mexican friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the 5/5/2005 to me is a very, not just ominous, but it's an opportunity, I feel, for a lot of good things to happen on this planet. And they're not pushing it like they had done the Y2K time and this kind of thing. And I think there are reasons for that, too. In the main, as far as I'm concerned, of course, the British election is going to be held on the 5th, which is interesting, too. That was insisted to by the Tony Blair party. You've got Cinco de Mayo, which normally would be the Mexican independence, but you're finding more of a Latino type of a camaraderie now. And many of the other countries in Latin America are also beginning to celebrate that and the way that that goes. It's also, of course, World Prayer Day for many of the Christian churches, which usually was held on the 1st, but instead is going to be held on the 5th. And, of course, the biggest thing I feel now is the sunspot activity that's happening, which to me are going to open up what I call energy areas or energy portals, not time portals so much, not stargates, because I do believe that these things are going to lead to a huge stargate opening in 2012, which everyone is talking about but doesn't quite seem to understand. So to me, it's an interesting thing. During the 25th and 26th of April, which of course time is flying by, we are already almost into the 4th of May, there was a huge sunspot that was formed on our sun. They refer to it as sunspot number 756. Now, these sunspots that have been coming up, we've talked about extensively that on your show, that how large they've been in X-class and M-class flares, which means that they almost can't be calibrated. Well, now they're coming up with a new word. They're calling it gamma emissions. And if you check the table on energy fields, gamma means that anything can happen. Gamma is about as way out as you can get. When a gamma ray comes through, nothing is going to protect you from it. Lead shields, water, anything else. It's a capability there of instant cell mutation. It's a capability in the brain of just frying the brain or whatever again. Melanomas, carcinomas, anything with cancer can be propagated by that. But the good thing about all of that, too, is it's a very high-frequency ray, and most of the damage that's been done to us is with these microwaves, these emissions between 5 and 15 hertz, if you would. So on the 25th and 26th, this thing began to grow, and it was released and should be hitting here as we speak today and tomorrow and the next day. Now, here's the thing. That sunspot number 756 is 5 times larger than the planet Earth. And I want you to stop and hear that. It's 5 times larger than the planet Earth itself. When that thing comes in, and I see nothing that's going to stop it, you're not only going to probably get communication disruptions, but you might get some satellites being down. You'll probably be getting AM and FM or AM on FM and this kind of thing. And who knows what kind of thing it's going to do to all these towers, these electronic emission towers, these 325 of them that they've got across the nation for the Gwen, these defense switches, these microwave towers, these orbiting satellites. Who knows what's going to happen on that one? So my point is this. I think what it's also going to do is to open up some areas on Earth where we would call time energy fields or energy portals. One is between Iraq and Iran, and isn't that interesting that everything now in the news is this threatened invasion now of Iran because she would not renounce her nuclear proliferation plan and policy and the weapons of mass destruction. It's not like we're getting to the same thing all over again. The other is interesting enough is we get into Cinco de Mayo. It's down near the Gate of the Sun at Tijuana, and that is an interesting area too because it's down near one of the step pyramids. It's an area there, of course, which has been ancient in history and which now they're beginning to understand a little bit more, and also this prophecy of the so-called Mayas, which I do not believe it, by the way. Let me put my 1 cent in there. I believe it's pronounced, first of all, Mayans. Secondly, I don't believe it's the Mayans that set that history and set that calendar. I think it was the Olmecs. And again, unfortunately for the non-liberal portion of history there, they continue to talk about Mayan history and not Olmecian history. And these are the ones that, to me, were the very intelligent, the very scientifically advanced and spiritually advanced people of Mesoamerica that, again, through what they call the Yamawans, came up here again and settled to many of the so-called Native Americans here. So I think with all of this going on, it's a time when people should be lifting their consciousness. It's a time when prayers should be emitted that are good. It's a time when people who are in love should state they're in love. It's a time when people who are compassionate should begin to let the planet know, as if it doesn't, that there are some sane people down here. There are some loving people down here. There are some very metaphysical and spiritual people down here. Pardon me, I've been fighting a cold here for a bit. And what usually happens, of course, they'll start wars and rumors of wars. They'll make sacrifices and killings and this kind of thing underneath these portal areas. Now, here's another thing, too. You don't have to go to these spots in order to be heard. Wherever you are, if you can spend some of that time, I say from about 11:59 this morning all the way to 12:03 again on the 6th, if you could spend some time and just holding those thoughts of good, holding those thoughts of enlightenment, holding those thoughts of compassion, asking for some daggone help and relief from all these crazy things that are happening on our planet. And as you know, from weather and what do they got again? Weather control and mudslides and hurricanes and wars and rumors of wars and these diseases that are coming everywhere. If we could begin to generate that kind of thought, a collective people, no matter what your religion or race, I think we can make a big difference. I think without that we bypass another opportunity, and to me, it's the last opportunity we're going to get this year. And in November, I think the reaps of whatever is going to happen here and not will be sown. So that's an overview. It's a lot covered, I know, but that's the way I look at it.
All right, first up, the weather, because we've got a lot of rain in Southern California, almost record rain. And it seems like we're going to break the record pretty soon if we get any kind of drizzle in the next few days. Does this have something to do with what you're talking about?
Most definitely. So activity that's happening now, well, first of all, most of the weather, as you know, I've said, is man-made. But once you begin to play as a god and you use weapons of mass destruction and weather modification like they do in Ilata, the electrified atmospheric thing in Russia, the one that they did in HARP, the High Frequency Active Aurora Research Project, the one that they did in ISACAT in Europe and Sweden, which is European Scattered Radar differentiation. Once you begin to continue the molecular, what they call moles, molecular organizing laser equipment, digging into the earth, digging into the bottom of the ocean, the tectonic plates, they say, are already shifting, so why would you drill down there supposedly for oil? They're not looking for oil. They're looking for gold and other petroleum deposits and for underground cities, which they understand are supposed to start coming to the surface at this time. So, yes, the weather is obviously a backlash against what mankind has done and a result of these solar flares. And as long as you are, well, I'll make this example, and I hope it's not getting worn out. As long as you are a landlord that owns a mortgage or owns a building, you refuse to pay the rent, you're tearing up the property, you begin to act as mischief by cutting on and off the electrical power there, you deface the property, and then you tell the landlord you're not going to stop. Then it becomes up time to find out what powerful the landlord is. And to me, the earth is asking our sun for this kind of energy. What does it do with this kind of tremendous energy? Something 5 times the size of the earth itself. It's turning it into magnetism. It's turning into spirituality. It's turning it into a magnetic field, wherever, of course, all these big and globalist and industrial complex people, these people who are into fossil fuel burning and this, they want it to be electrical. They want an electromagnetic field. Well, an electrical field, of course, is not good for spiritualness. It's not good for long life. It's not good for saving the planet. It's not good for anything there. So, it's a sense, a child with a bad, like a boom boxes that the navies use, which are killing the sperm whales and this kind of thing. They're about the business of making this planet theirs. They serve, as we've talked about before, a very draconian type of a reptilian type of people who want this planet to not ascend, and the planet Earth is enough. I'm going to ascend, and the more you begin to act in mischief, the more I'm going to show you who's boss. So I think we've got a problem coming up, and yes, we're just beginning to see some of the weather that's going to happen in the next 32 hours.
All right, let's take our first call. Let's go to Paul. He's in Daniel Freeman. Hope you're feeling good, Paul.
Well, actually, I haven't been able to listen to the radio. I really don't know what the subject matter is. My mother asked me to call because, there was a subject you guys did. I was shot April 17th by 2 Mexicans who thought I was a gangbanger.
I tell you what, Paul, because we don't even know if you're in Daniel Freeman, so thank you for calling. Call back Greg later and explain that one too. Let's go to Ken in Compton. Good morning, Ken.
Hello? Hello? Oh, yes. He's exactly right. I'm glad
who's this?
Ignored. This is Kia. My name is
Okay, Kia.
Good morning. Yep, let me turn my radio there.
Hello?
Hello, I'm here. I want to turn the radio there.
Let's go to the top of the line. Let's go to Ken in Compton. Folks, you got to get ready. We haven't got time to fool around. Lon in Hawthorne. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Dr. Blair, my question is, okay, you were an ordained minister, and I asked you this before, and you said you changed over because you found out the spiritual truth. Well, what I wanted to find out is when you were an ordained minister and you received the gift of the Holy Spirit, you had a connection with God, and then you got into the metaphysical world. How did your experience with God change? And do you still have the gift of the Holy Spirit? And I can respond on that.
Well, I think my spiritual, and I don't like to be redundant on that. Obviously, again, there's something about that disturbs you, but again, it's your free for all. It's your free to ask, and it's my freedom to answer you, which I will. I think I'm probably one of the more spiritual people you're ever going to meet on this planet. That's saying a big thing, and it's not egotistical because I haven't met a quarter of the people on this planet, but I've met a few, and I have done some traveling. Spiritualness and religiosity to me have nothing to do with each other. Spiritual persons, church is constantly with them by the way that they eat, by the way that they think, by the way that they drink, by the way that they act, by the way that they treat their fellow human beings, by the way that they cheat or don't cheat, no matter whether there's a policeman around. To me, you're a self-governor. And when you're spiritual, you do what you have to do. With the religious consciousness, it's good. It's good to come around people who have the same feelings and to bolster each other. But it's almost like a show that each week you have to go through the same performance with somebody's rising and screaming to rouse you up to do what you should have been roused up enough. If the weather patterns that are going on now, if the vaccinations that we're finding out are killing people, with the wars and rumors of wars, with half the black population being put into prison, into prison, I call it prison camps, but that's almost true. That's the next step they want to do. With the killing of sperm whales and things like this, with the killing of dolphins, with the shooting up of babies, giving them 5 shots in the hospital when they don't need it, including hepatitis C shots. If these aren't enough to realize that whatever the church is doing, it's not strong enough, that there is a spiritual need, then I don't know what to say. My decision was made simply because I am not a hypocrite. And some of the questions that I wanted answered about the history of our planet, about the history of our people, about the history of many things were not told correctly. And it was simply my way of not being a hypocrite. It has nothing to do with my spirituality. I think I'm one of the most honest and straight people, no matter what the situation is that you'll ever want. Believe me, if you're in trouble, you'd want somebody like me around.
All right. Good morning, Wallace.
Good morning, Mr. Nelson, Rob, Greg, Front Page Family, and Dr. Blair. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And so it's good to have you on again. I just wanted to share something with the Front Page Family. My daughter go to Birmingham High School out here in the Valley, And it's been a lot of text messages to all the blacks on Cinco de Mayo that the Mexicans is going to do something to them, you know. So I just wanted to share with the families that have kids in other schools that might not know nothing about this. It would be best to either go up there with the kids to, you know, on the 6th tomorrow and you know, look out for your kids because it's supposed to be some drama jumping off. And Mr. Nelson, I just wanted to share that because I'm going to be up there at Birmingham and see if I can look out for my black kids. So I just wanted to share that. And Dr. Blair, you keep up the good work. And man, you're amazing. Okay, Mr. Nelson, talk to you soon.
All right, thanks,
well, thank you so much for the compliment there. Now, that's very interesting to me, Carl, as I hear the gentleman say this again. This would mean some stupid out of it. Don't even understand. Well, if it's true, and if you've got some gangbangers, hopefully that these are real gangbangers and not some government plans to start some dissension amongst blacks and whites, or further carry on what they would call racial wars to get away from the real consciousness here. Here is a people that should be celebrating and very happy for the independence that came to their country, which their forefathers fought and died for, much as the forefathers of black people have fought and died for many things, those that came from Africa, those that came from South America, because as I said in many cases, all blacks did not come from Africa. The ancestors of many of these people were Olmecs, were very Negroid-looking people, and Latinos understand that. Some Hispanics don't. But to use that as an excuse for gangbanging, if this is the truth, is a misguided consciousness there. And that's where the family structure within the Latin families should be teaching them a little bit better. I really don't think, I think that may be true, and I'm not doubting the man because he wouldn't have called and said that. But my point is, how twisted can you make one thing when we have a common enemy on earth that all dark people should be for, and people too who have any kind of pigmentation or don't have serpent blood should be taking a stand that's differently. But it shows again how sometimes misguidance and miseducation follow the same parents.
14 away from 512 KJ. Let's go to Cairo in LA. Good morning, Cairo.
Greetings. Good morning, Carl. Good morning, Dr. Blair. I had a couple of questions. One on what this has to do with the emission of gamma rays and the increasing of it, with what happened with the dolphins. Also, what's going on worldwide in terms of awakening consciousness and opening of the third eye for most people who are not yet totally aware yet or refuse to recognize certain things. And in correlation to what you were saying, the first time I remember hearing about anything having to do with gamma rays, I think it kind of signifies strength is with Stan Lee when he was writing The Hawk. And, you know, I'm not trying to take it in the trivia stuff or make believe, but that was actually first way I actually heard anything about gamma rays when I was younger in comic books. And to me, the gamma does signify the strength. And from what I've read about it as I've gotten older, so I just wanted to ask some questions about that to clear it up. And also with this wave of consciousness is hitting the whole world in terms of the truth seekers that are waking up, especially with the youth, in relation to what the United States has been trying to keep underground, you know, what they're doing with to the Muslim world and this conflict of what's going on with the Christians and the Muslims and the Catholics. And the last question I wanted to point out to get you to answer was, how does this correlate with the passing of the Pope? Thank you.
You went all over the place.
I mean, I had to cover some ground, bro, but I do want those answers, and I appreciate your information all the time. Y'all take care. Have a blessed day.
Well, thank you. Let me do the best I can through the Creator's help and will. Let's start the last first, of course. The Pope that came in through there again, of course, Pope John Paul, the first and second went so fast. And people seem to forget that when John Paul the second came into power, it was 28 days, actually they say 33 days, but 28 days after the white smoke came out of the chimney with the announcement of the Annunciation and investiture of John Paul I. Well, he died mysteriously. Let's put it like that. Isn't that interesting? And then, of course, you now have this Pope. Now you've got Benedictine, and you've got the German Pope. There's nobody that wants a German Pope in that time with the more of a frontal view, especially with the battle now with Codex Alimentarius over in Europe, the euro dollar and all. The combination of Germany and France and all resounding against this. You have now a Pope that came into power that's supposed to only be in there for 13 months, according to some of the prophecies, and by the prophecies that came from St. Malachi, well, within the Catholic religion itself. These are just other times and heralds of times. While all this is going on, what passed by a lot of people doesn't pass by me because this is what I research and study. There was a meteor shower that hit here on the 30th. It went up into the northeast. It was in Maine and Massachusetts, seen throughout the New England states there again, and lasted for almost 35 minutes. A procession of something so big it could be seen in 4 states with all kind of little meteorites. Now, they said it was a Leonid shower. As I checked back, the Leonid shower was not in effect at that time, and whatever it was a procession that was seen in the northeast that was astounding. Zooming things every which way, showering things firefighting like, and then this huge thing which some say exploded. Some say it didn't explode, it just made a big flash. Well, here you have that going on, and as was pointed out by Carl already and before, you've got weather changes that are just on an unheard of session here again. You've got the ring of fire volcanoes all the way from Yosemite National Park, all the way to Tula, all the way to Rangoon. You've got in Burma, you've got volcanoes smoldering all over the daggone place. So what does this have to do? This is simply, to me, a time of consciousness raising, and I'll be very succinct. The planet Earth wants to go to the 5th dimension, just that simple. If you remember the song, the 5th dimension, when the sun has reached the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars and this kind of thing again. 5th dimension simply means we're going to jump from a 3rd to a 5th. That means that people would become very psychic. The helixes that we have, which are down to 1.5, should be coming now with the children being born indigo and crystal children with 3 and 4 helixes, which means psychic power is there. The ability to communicate with animals is there. The ability to communicate at long distances is there. The babies are coming out of the womb now almost with head erect, eyes wide open. These souls are very advanced. They're here for certain reasons, and they're not after playing. We have at the same time in power a draconian, reptilian type of a global communication complex with the Council on Foreign Relations, trilateral commissions, these kind of things that are hell-bent on holding back the progress of a spiritual being born on this planet, and the planet itself getting out of what they call the Iridian system and into the more what they would call spiritual system of the Dragons, the Dogons against Sirius and Andromeda. So this battle goes on whether we like it or not. The Earth changes are simply reflections of the mankind-human battle that's been going on for some time. But as we see again, when you get these kind of sun flares and gamma projections, gamma, whether it was in comic books or not, can change anything on the planet. We're already eating microwave food. We're already taking vaccination shots that we shouldn't. We're already breathing polluted air with titanium and uranium and aluminum in it that they're spraying. We are getting sprayed every day. You know, I ask people, do you have to breathe? They say, I think so. I said, I think so too, but look at what you're breathing. I just went into 4 different states and 5 cities on a tour. Everywhere I see, you have biochem trails all over the place. So to me, it's a time for awakening. It's another opportunity for when these portals open for us to try and cry out for some help, and better than that, to come together as a people collectively. I didn't say a races, I said a people collectively that have advanced souls in these bodies and do something about it.
Dr. Blair, I want to go back to the Pope, the new Pope. Is there any significance about him and the name that he chose and when he chose it, the day that he chose, they chose him supposedly to become the new Pope?
Well, I think so. Like I say, I don't think that, now this is my own opinion, based again, it's almost like the selections that we've had now for the last 4 years. When you get a national selection, you don't get an election any longer. You get electronic voting. And when you get electronic voting, you can have that machine punch out anything you want. Now, whether they use electronic voting or not in the Vatican through the College of Cardinals is not so much that. But again, it's the pressure that can be applied within, the things that they have on people there again. You know, pedophilia is sweeping the Catholic religion, if you would, and many of the people who were kicked out of this country went to the Vatican to live because the Vatican is a free and sovereign state, independent of anything done by any global government, as all churches are, but most churches don't realize that. We still get into that 5013C hookup. That's another thing I didn't like when I woke up to what the church should be under the U.S. Constitution outside of the District of Columbia. So I'm simply saying, you see now a people who are trying to come in now that are awakened. These children that came in are not kids. You know, we've got so stupid that we call our children kids. Kids belong to Baphomet, the goat god. We're not raising kids. Kids should not get shots and be treated like animals. They're supposed to be children. If the parents were sensible enough, then the children would reflect the sensitivity of the parents. Many of these parents are conceiving when they're drunk, already full of shots, already high, shaking a booty without shaking anything in the brain cells. So again, we are a reflection of what we have, but regardless of what we have or not, our planet, the planet in which we live and breathe, has decided it wants to go upward. I think it would behoove us to try to go upward with it or go downward again with the ones he's trying to destroy.
All right, 608 from 552 occasion. Let's go back to a call. Let's go to Jeff in Culver City. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Carl, Greg, Rob, and Dr. Delbert Blair. Yes, Dr. Blair, you mentioned how the government is involved in weather modification and perhaps even the alteration and manipulation of the physical earth, the ocean waters, etc. Now, there's a division of the Central Intelligence Agency called the Special Activities Division. Many of these operations fall within that department, as well as the Parapsychological Division. What I'd like to know is this: is it possible that the CIA's Special Activities Division are also involved in mind control as well? Because I was reading this book called Psychic Warfare, Threat or Illusion by Martin Ebon, 1981, Random House Books. In this book, it was mentioned that the Cold War between the United States and Russia was actually won without one shot being fired due to the CIA's excellent work in this field with the paranormal. So do you believe that their mind control programs are effective in other arenas and other activities? And also, by the way, Johnny Mike Spann worked for the Special Activities Division and was the first casualty in the war in Afghanistan. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that by name that you give, but by consciousness, yes, I'm sure there are many governmental agencies and non-governmental agencies that are allied on this planet to do mischief and to work against the consciousness raising of people itself. Many people are getting into remote viewing. To me, the rich man's remote viewing or the governmental remote viewing is a poor man's astral projection, which all of us that have souls do every 24 to 72 hours, because that's the only reason we go to sleep. When we go to sleep, you say, where do we go to? Well, we come out of these bodies because we are not, shall we say, we're not physical people trying to understand spirituality. We're spirits trying to understand physicality. This is where the consciousness has fallen. This is what people don't seem to understand. So yes, whether or not the United States won that war or not, because I think that war still goes on. I think the so-called fall of the Russian Empire and the breakup of the Soviet Union is a big hoax. I think very strong. They have more divisions and armaments. They're very much into the nuclear proliferation, and they are very much into ELATA. Now, I repeat once again, in case you didn't hear that. ELAT, again, is the electrification of the atmosphere. It was in Russian, and when I tried to look it up, as I looked up the various different so-called first world governments look into weather modification and weather control and mind control, I couldn't find ELAT. It's because it was in Russian. And of course, ELAT, again, stood for the electrification of the atmosphere. It's a Russian electromagnetic EF weapon. There was a guy named Igor Prosyov, director of ELATA, that has a card said, weather made to order. They have not been disrupted. They are in the process now of combining with China to take over this planet. And already, if you begin to check your world government, your stock exchanges, if you begin to see the outsourcing of companies here, the growth of China and Russia is frightening. And already our country is being taken over, if you call this our country.
3 away from 5. Thanks for your call, Jeff. Let's keep rolling. Let's go to Kia in L.A. Good morning, Kia.
Good morning. Yes, I just want to let them know he's exactly right. You know, people need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? This needs to be another time of day so everybody hear it. You know, because he's exactly right. And about them gangbangers, the mothers need to talk to their children. Really. They really need to talk to their children and let them know, because when you kill somebody, you ain't doing nothing but messing up your own life. But the opinion that a person has for you, when they die, they taking it with them to their grave. You know what I'm saying? And about the weather, I seen it rain with no clouds in the sky. Didn't nobody know? I said, y'all ain't know it's a spiritual war. Or something is going down because it's raining. Ain't no clouds in the sky. It's pouring down. It's pouring down.
All right, thanks, Kia. Now, let me take your question or your statement a little further. So I'm putting a question for him for Dr. Blair. Dr. Blair, can the weather influence one's behavior?
Oh, most definitely so. It can influence the behavior of making of money by knowing what crops may or may not grow. When you're dealing with futures and commodities, it can anytime, if it's dreary outside, you feel dreary. If it's cold outside, you don't want to go outside. You have to put on lots of clothes, and again, you can't be as free as you like. When you begin to have very little sunshine, especially, forgive me, if you're people with melanin again, you feel dreary. Your skin becomes sallow. That pineal gland that has an effect in making melanin needs sunlight. It needs sun rays. It needs high consciousness. It needs high frequency sun rays. Melanin, as we've heard about, is an adapter. So when you're shut in or when you're claustrophobic, the people say, oh, I'm just waiting to get outside. This is why many people, as soon as the weather breaks, they put on the short shorts, they put on the halter tops, they go bare-chested and all that, just because they've been more or less locked up. You might as well say confined to our own homes because of weather control. Whoever controls the weather runs the world. And I think you've heard that statement before. And believe me, that globalist policy of the Nazis and Hitlers to Project Sign, Project Paperclip has not gone away. They're still about the business of trying to bring under reptilian control this entire planet.
All right, 5 o'clock at KJLH Compton, Los Angeles. We're going to take a quick break. We're back with metaphysicist Dr. Delbert Blair out of Chicago. You know how to reach him, 520-KJLH. We'll take your phone calls right after this. This is out of Chicago is with us this morning. And let's go to Jamal. Good morning, Jamal. Brother Jamal.
Oh, good morning, front page family and everybody. I'm answering a question. There was a recent finding in a newspaper where they said that they found these remnants of people, remains of people who were very short, and also an animal that had been extinct in Florida. And also got one other thing to say to us. Could you comment on this? One day my daughter called me and told me that she had a dream about me when I was younger, and it was an event that actually had happened in my life with me and my brother and my extended family sister. So I was wondering if you could comment on that for me. Thank you.
Well, many children that are being born now again, and I'm glad you said daughter again, and please stop using the word kid. This, again, where they're not baby goats, they got nothing to do with Baphomet, they got nothing to do with animals. They're children being born now, and in many cases are much smarter, thank God, than the parents that conceived them, because these are souls waiting to come in. There is a consciousness that states of reincarnation, that many people who are born have been born either as mothers, fathers, children, desired, lovers, whichever, in previous lifetimes. And once they start these kind of interchanges, that they try to intertrace for a long time. As a soul progresses, it strays further from the tree. In other words, it may travel, it may begin to go to other countries and all like this. But the children coming in now, before 1989, they were what they called indigo children being born. They simply had a different wavelength of the sun coming in that they would tune to, which made them a little smarter, made their cells progress a little bit faster, and they were here to fight or flight. They were the warriors. They were the ones that had been wronged by the church, wronged by the state, wronged by many governments previously, and they were back here to try to get things straight. Well, we lost that opportunity because we have them fighting governmental wars without understanding who they're fighting or where. Now, after 90, you had what they call crystal children being born. They're born already with 3 helixes intact. That's unheard of. They can be born, as I stated before. They come out of the womb erect. In other words, again, their heads are held high. Their neck and their vertebrae are very much fused and very non-flexible, very strong. They can begin to see on the other side. They remember past lives. They can begin to see what's happening in the family. They try to communicate with the mothers in the womb, so they begin to give them MRIs and shots in the through the umbilical cord, which, of course, they try to retard their progress. And, of course, at birth, get these 5 stupid shots in the hospitals, which many of us don't understand, including the hepatitis A, B, and C shots. So, yes, if you let those children progress as they're supposed to, they are your new wave. They are the new consciousness. They are the ones that are in here with special powers ready to adapt to the new frequencies of the planet. They're the ones that when these sun rays come in, it will not kill, but awaken and make those powers further grow. It is the people who don't understand. Now, I just want to throw one other thing, too, to the brother who mentioned about Russia. Forgotten in that Chernobyl meltdown was the anthrax lab that was destroyed by that meltdown, which released anthrax into the air worldwide. And also they seem to forget about the city of Cracknoble, which was just about 250 miles away, which began to grow people, slugs, trees, growing prolifically, all kind of directions. You begin to get ground slugs there as big as dogs. They try to hide all of that. You cannot hide radiation, and the sun is now giving off direct radiation, and you're not going to be able to hide that either. It's going to kill off millions. It's going to affect billions, but it's also going to save trillions of people who would have been killed under this new governmental policy of exterminating what they call the useless eaters and the growing weeds.
10 after 5, 520-KJLH with Dr. Delbert Blair. Let's go to Tricia in Inglewood. Good morning, Tricia.
Good morning. Good morning, front page. Good morning, Dr. Blair. I just want to know, would you be able to elaborate on what is in the core of the earth? And I think the last time I heard you, you were talking about some type of tablets, like green tablets or whatever, or emerald tablets. Can you just elaborate on that for me?
Green tablets, emerald tablets. Okay, let's kind of work with what you said. What's in the core of the earth? That would take up another hour. Let me just say succinctly that I do not believe in the molten lava. I do not believe in the molten core. I do not believe in a non-hollow earth. I believe in a hollow earth theory. The concept is like I call myself a conspiracy realist, not a conspiracy theorist. Too many books have been written about the inner world. Alexander Tolkien in Lord of the Rings talks about it from a perspective of Scandinavian people, the trolls, gremlins, and the hobgoblins. Anytime you begin to see so much going on, and if to give you one thing, that the Tao's hum, which they call this hum, is being heard by people in the United States, people in other countries, people up in Alaska, which I think are caused by what they call moles, molecular organizing laser equipment, by which they are not originating, but reorganizing and continuing and extending already tunnels that honeycomb our earth. It's simply interesting that they talk to people about guarding the borders of earth, and we have no borders. You can come from Mexico, you can come from South America, you can come from Canada, all underground. The people that know about this are the people that are using this already to invade the United States. Anything you want to do, you can do underneath the earth. And when they bring out these movies, which makes you think that after you go a certain depth, you run into a heat layer, yes, you do, but it's got nothing to do with what they're talking about. I believe, again, that this planet has already been invaded, that many of the aliens live down there, many of the hybrid. If you notice, too, they're coming out now with the Clone Wars, iRobot, which tells you also they already now are putting out people who aren't people, automatons that you wouldn't know from another person if you saw them. The movies tell you the truth in one sense, but they project a future that we don't want to see. We want to stick our heads in the air and our tails in the air. Our heads in the earth and our tails in the air, and you know what's going to happen to us. So many things are happening now that it's almost unbelievable. But if you don't hide the pieces of the puzzle and let them fit, you'll see the picture that I'm painting is a dire one, but there's also hope, because all of this is being done to try and stop the progression of a planet who says, I want good people, I want psychic people, I want an advanced race of people to ascend with me, and I'm going to have it. We'll see who wins this battle, but also in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of fools that not only going to kill themselves because of taking shots and eating foods and thinking things they shouldn't, but there'll be a lot of destruction. It always has been, it always will be.
13 after 5. Thanks, Dr. Blair. 520 KGLH number call. You got a question for our guest this morning? Let's go to Tanya in Inglewood. Good morning, Tanya.
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Blair and KGLH. Dr. Blair, I'm moving. My family has moved from Los Angeles to Ohio, and there's children, and we wanted to know if there's anything that we should be doing because of the changes in climate. They're born in California, moving to Ohio. Also, it just so happened that the housing that we found in Ohio is surrounded by a Jewish, a Hebrew seminary, a theological seminary. It's like 5 seminaries in this area. So I need to know how we should take advantage of where we're relocating to and what my family should be doing now that they're in the state of Ohio with the young children.
Well, obviously, it sounds like it was a well-thought-out thing. Obviously, you went for economic reasons, or climatic reasons, or whatever other reasons, whether it be their relatives or what. Wherever now people are being moved to move, you have people who are going into California, people leaving California. People are being moved because of energy fields and because of ancient cells that are awakening, history that they're having to live through. And so if you do this with love, you have a structure that's loved, and you have a family structure that's intelligently loved, wherever you go, you will survive, because you will seek out around you those are the things that are closest to you. Being exposed to so much so-called religious history, again, only lets you get a better sample by studying each of those things and being a better understanding what goes on there since you've chosen to move into the community. I say again, whatever your move was, do it with love, and especially, again, as I point out once more, 5/5/2005 is a chance to, again, reach the core of the planet, to reach out into space, to reach out to brothers and sisters of consciousness, no matter what planets they dwell on, and yes, I'm talking like that, to begin to show that this planet has a population that is not all about wars and killing and drinking and shooting and corrupting and having sex without love and hating people just because of this and that. I think it's a chance to show that there is an awakening consciousness like your family shows. And if you do more than just talk about it, actually spend some time in fasting on that day. Spend some time in higher consciousness. Spend that some time, again, collectively trying to reinforce those that are good and turning off the stupid TV shows about American Idol and Fear Factor. You got enough Fear Factor to go around. Love Factor, consciousness raising and being true to oneself and finding those people who vibrate like you and helping them instead of wasting time trying to pull up the drunkards and the dope addicts, I think would do us a lot of good.
Dr. Blair, earlier I asked you about the weather, but what about the moon? Can the moon affect our behavior? We hear old people talk about, yeah, it's a full moon, all the crazy folks are out tonight, but is that true?
Oh, sure. The moon always affects behavior. The crime rates always go up on a full moon. The term, again, lunatic, comes from the word luna and sin. Both sin and luna, what our planet's moon. That's a long story, too, because I don't believe that the moon was ever taken and blasted out of the Gulf of Mexico. The moon was steered here. But that's another whole story that, again, I can't do justice to. But yes, when the moon is on full and refracting those kind of waves, it affects the emotions. It affects the tides. It affects the water templicity. And water is in all cells, especially with people with melanin, again, because melanin tunes into anything. Melanin is an adaptogen. And when the moon's rays are full, melanin begins to work with the water energies of the brain, the water energies of the body. And in many cases now, they're polluting the water. We're drinking poison water. We're drinking radioactive water, which again means that the body tries to purify itself even more so during that time. Extended menses can come on, bloating and PMS can come on again. Crimes with passion always go up on a full moon. And let me just say one other thing again. That's because of the electrical motor driven things that are inside that moon that radiate them out on certain frequencies. And the reason why the moon has such a beautiful balance, if you change that balance 7 miles either way, you'd have catastrophic effects both on it and us. I think it's, again, because the moon was put up there more or less for our control. As the sun rays continue, it will dwarf the moon rays, and more will be able to raise into higher consciousness.
17 after 5. Let's go to Tony's on his cell, going to work somewhere in LA. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Blair. Good morning, Carl. I got a question for you. Can you tell me something about the Mayan calendar in 2012, December 2012, and I'll take my answer off there. Thank you.
Well, many people are pointing toward December 12, 2012, when the god of the nine winds, what they call the king of Tula, will begin to open and come back to lead his people and to lead those new consciousness through Quetzalcoatl and others again into a higher consciousness. I believe, again, it was not the Mayan calendar, and I don't call them Mayans, I call them Mayans. I think it was an Olmecian calendar. I think much of the history of the Olmecs they delete, and because of the influence of the Portuguese and influence of the European people who came here and tried to destroy all these basalt heads, these 30-foot Olmecian heads that were all over the land. They were from the Ohio Snake Mound peoples all the way down to Tulamal, Uxmal, Sisal, all the way down to many places throughout Mesoamerica, which show nothing but these Olmecian heads. I think that what has happened here, along with that, if you go down to what they call the step pyramids again, you will see that they also had snake mounds near them. They had reptiles that were figures of reptiles that used to come down these great big flat top pyramids where these craft would land and these reptiles would come out there again. Check the history of the Aztec, check the history of Mesoamerica, or switch to the Grand Canyon and find what they had there. Switch to the Giza Plateau, which was the second colony leading from Lemuria, not the first. You'll find many things that are very interesting. A lot of the things we think happened in Africa happened here in the Americas, and they misnamed it. A lot of the things that we think happened in Africa did not happen in Africa. It was a second coming, you more or less say, when the progression of the Olmecs when they came over into the Asian continent. So much of what we've been taught has been mistaught. And if I sound crazy, ask yourself these questions. Why are they so busy digging down in Cahokia State Park? Why are they busy in Ohio State Park? Why are they defacing the Ohio mounds? Why did they try to start to flood the bottom of the Grand Canyon? Why is it that they're finding that everything they're finding on the Giza Plateau can now be found on Cydonia and Mars, including the black woman's face that's there too? Truth is coming back out. People are awakening. This is why they want them to have drugs. This is why they want them to act stupid. This is why they want them to have fear factors to watch. The fear factor here is we're born on a planet called Tara. Now they're making Tara into terror. And if you believe, again, these serpent-led, infested, mind-controlled news fakers and thought takers, which you call newspapers and radio commentators in the main, then you follow the own terror within yourself and defeat the very purpose of awakening and throwing off the yoke of the serpent and becoming consciousness as to whom you really are.
All right, 21 after 5. 520 KJLH. Thanks for your call, Tony. Drive safely for us. Let's go to Gerald in Marina Valley. Good morning, Gerald.
Well, good morning, Front Page, and as usual, Awesome showings. Dr. Blair, did you mention one time on a previous show that another sun was here? And my other question is this. The more I think about it, if the earth feeds upon itself, and we're not putting, I know this is going to sound weird, we were putting bodies in caskets instead of putting them into the ground. Would that have any effect on us somewhere down the road? Thank you, KGLH.
Well, yes, yes, and no. All I can say, first of all, is yes, we're living in a very interesting time. And the time that we're in now will lead to a lot of death, wars, rumors of wars. Remember that old statement from Ephesus that we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. May the Creator bless us all. We are finding again that we're on a never-ending battle that continues, just like the trilogy of Star Wars, just like the fight with the Cheetah Wooly and the Serpent People again is once more here again. Burying the bodies upright or putting them in caskets is one thing. If you remember, the Native American and many African people did not put their dead into the ground because they didn't want them claimed by the Tukaluski. They wanted them to be open and free souls. Many cases, cremation would free the soul because it no longer had a corporeal body. It could be free to go wherever it wanted to be. Many times, of course, when we get caskets and graveyards, we continue to mourn and bring back our dead, making them earthbound instead of giving to them when they're alive and helping the living. The dead will decay and gone. It's the thoughts that need to be corrected, not the thoughts of the people, but the thoughts of those who did not keep the people correct when they were in the flesh. I say again, it's a matter of consciousness. And at this time, the consciousness on our planet has another opportunity, 5/5/2005, to be reached by those who have some depth, to be reached by those who consider meditation in their family structures as they work, as they play, whatever they're doing, by lifting the consciousness, asking for help, saying, I am a clean, reverent person who now has come into consciousness, and please, Creator, help me.
All right, 23 and to five. Let's bring in our marketing director who's with us in studio this morning. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Carl. Good morning, Front Page family. Good morning, Dr. Blair.
Good morning.
You know, in my church, there's church mothers, you know, elderly ladies who have been around a long time. And it's pretty obvious to me that they have gifts are more prevalent.
In most cases, as we get older, we should get more sanctimonious. We should get more spiritual. We should have learned from the mistakes we made. And if we're still alive, we're closer to our Creator if we believe in one. When the church amplifies that, in the case of the church mothers and so, it should be amplified in many other ways. It's not just with the church mothers, but the church fathers also. In many cases, the church is dwelt in by the female and then headed by the male. Many of this is changing, and much of this is changing, too. The point is simply this. How can I put this without the... I believe in what you say, and I believe in the sanctity of Christianity and all religions when they raise spirituality. But let's put it like this. Some of those very mothers will go down there and cook fatback, mean, pixie, peacock, hog maws, borrow away all the enzymes out of the food, drink again some kind of cider again, which is non-fermented, use white vinegar and stuff, use white bread and white butter and dairy products, and then wonder what happens there. So you've sanctified and helped the soul in the form of the consciousness, but now you're killing the female body itself now, which is going to get sick and going to get cold, spilling away all the mucus. It's a matter now of whether it's a church or non-church. The church is your temple, whether you're inside of a building or walking in the streets. The church is your family structure, not just on Sundays with Monday through Fridays. As you work, as you play, as you pay bills, as you try to promote within your own children's structure again, higher consciousness. The church is wherever you are. Where you are, God is, and the Creator can be.
520 KGLH. Let's go to Rochelle. Good morning, Rochelle. You're on with Dr. Blair.
Good morning, Dr. Blair. Front Page. Dr. Blair, I've been trying to find out for a long time if you had any books or tapes out. I would like to, listen.
And hundreds of tapes. Thank you, my brother, for so asking. If you're on the website, simply go to www.themetacenter, THEMETA Center.com. We have hundreds of tapes up there. We're converting the CDs as fast as we can. We have all kind of topics. We have products up there to help you raise consciousness, help to raise your immune system. Monatomic gold, as much as people are talking about it, believe me, it works. Ask those that use it to help you become more strong in the physical body and more strong in the mental body and creating a stronger soul tie. We have diodes to protect you from radiation from all of these blank cell phone towers. all these stupid gadgets that we carry around calling cell phones now, that you can play games on, store up to 500 different people, that you can watch TV on, watch a news report. You can live in the palm of your hand instead of out of the consciousness of your soul. Everything that can help defeat this and work with this, we sell. Everything that will help to proliferate it, we tell you not to use. Try our website, and for those who don't have a web presence, call us at 708-422-6685. 708-422-6685. We try hard, but we need people who are trying.
27 minutes after 5 in Southern California. Dr. Delbert Blair, a guest on the front page this morning for the Jerry in L.A. Morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
Jerry, can you speak up first?
Yes, good morning, front page. And Dr. Blair, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing fine, sir, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yes, good morning, front page. And Dr. Blair, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing fine, sir, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. I just wanted to make a quick comment about the planet with the ozone layer right now the way it is. I recently watched a movie. You had mentioned earlier about movies having subliminally certain messages in the movies. Can you tell me more about the underground situation of people underground? Because when I was younger, I don't know if you are familiar with the abductions or things of that nature. I was went through a similar situation where I was explaining to my mom when I was around 13 something that happened to me, but it seemed like a phenomenon, which it was. But can you tell me or elaborate on other planets and people from other planets? Because a certain force that I was dealt with once, I know it wasn't from this planet. Can you comment on that for me?
Well, most of us are not from this planet anyway. This is what they call incoming souls, newborn souls, awakened souls, mankind, human, and womb man. These are all different species of people that now inhabit. First of all, reptilians do not have souls. So if you're a soul, you're not going to come in here in a reptilian body. You may, again, sell your soul to Baphomet or to the devil, to the upright walking serpent by the consciousness that you don't utilize while here, the food that you eat and the mind control that you undergo and the tips that they may put into your body by which they're killing off lots of good people, including those in black bodies, or mind controlling them to do crimes that they never would have done. As far as the universe, I go by the quote from scriptures, in my Father's house are many mansions, and although whether or not he went to prepare a place for you or not, the place is already prepared if you have a soul. We're here again because we fail to understand that we are not physicals trying to understand spirituality and graduate. We are spirits here for a purpose because we needed to learn, or else we were volunteers trying to raise the collective consciousness of a solar system. Again, it's because when we understand that we are here to try and understand physical Earth life. Earth is said to be one of 22 planets. That's a story I guess we don't have time for either. But if you would take this as a judgment, all planets are hollow, or else they cannot be planets. There's nothing new under the sun. Anytime you have a central sun, there's only so much you can learn until you graduate into worlds without sun and what they call wormholes and stargates and this kind of thing. If you're here for a reason. You're either here as a volunteer trying to raise the consciousness of collective consciousness souls that you came in with, or you're here because you had something to learn, you either killed or you didn't understand, and you needed to get exactly what you got. Earth has everything to offer everyone, including those that are very good, very sound of consciousness and sound of mind. It's a matter of what choice you choose. It's a matter of where you go. I, like you, was born psychic. I used to see clouds and faces in rooms, and I used to talk to the faces in the clouds. Then I found out in my high chair, you don't see clouds and faces, and you don't talk to people in clouds, or you get in trouble. So that only killed a psychic portion of me for a while. It was reawakened, but look at the foolishness. Had my parents been a little bit more advanced in understanding, bless my mother and my father, it's a matter, again, of who you are. You must be who you are, and don't be a sheeple, like a sheep following a Judas goat, but be a people with understanding and consciousness, and in turn you'll find you draw to you the very thing that you're emitting. If you emit terror, you get it. If you emit love, you'll get it. If you emit consciousness, you'll get around people with consciousness, and they in turn will collectively help you to raise yours.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, I want you to tell us how can we tap into that psychic energy since you say we're all psychic, okay?
Wonderful.
All right, 520-KGLH, number to call, speak to Dr. Delbert Blair. We'll take your calls from right after this.
This is
23 minutes away from 6 Clifford and the home team. 520-KGLH, number to call, speak to Dr. Delbert Blair. Before the break, I ask you the question. You said all of us are psychic, so it's a lesson for all of us now. How do we tap into that psychic energy that supposedly we all have, Dr. Blair?
Many ways of doing it. Interesting enough, to your KJLH, kindness, joy, love, and happiness. Your owner already has higher consciousness right there. It could see, though blind, saw much better than most people and still does. By using, again, sleeping on magnetic mattresses, we have all kind of magnetic products. When you sleep in a magnetic field, every cell in your body that has magnetite also has melanin. And that's why it stabilizes. That helps for each cell to become a specialized cell and not to become cancerous and mitigus and what they would call free radicals. It helps also to calm the spirit and the serotonin production there at the what they call the pineal pituitary hyper. Well, at any rate, by also using the gold products we have gold capsules by which you can open them and put the powder under your tongue or can swallow it and it goes through the body. What does that do? That helps to raise the frequency, not the blood pressure, the frequency and energy of the blood to 121 megahertz. Very hard to maintain it when you're going out and breathing chemtrails and taking shots and stuff, but at least you give your body a boost, a chance to get into the more psychic realms. By also using what we call, again, celestial dreams bathing salts. We have salts made of this gold by which you can put it into warm water. Hopefully you filter the water. Don't put it into chlorine and fluoride. Relax in the tub. Relax there and let that salt get into your energy field, if you will. When you begin to do just some of these things, including watching the diet and drinking lots of good water, you automatically begin to raise your, I think that we've been giving back at a time that we best needed. It's those who don't do this, those who don't say, well, I can't afford to buy this, but I can go out and buy me a fifth of booze, or I can go out and buy me a new dress, or something like this. These are the things, are the decisions we make. We get what we pay for. We get what we ask for. Be careful for what you ask. Be careful for what you buy. You may get it.
20 away from 6. Thanks, Dr. Blair. Let's go to Valerie in Inglewood. Good morning, Valerie.
Good morning. Good morning to all the front page. Doctor, I thank you for coming on. I call you doctor with great honor. I'm going through a lot of experiences, and some of them were with the church and stuff like that. But physically, I'm speaking in languages that I've never taken. I've had only a second grade education. I do not write English. I write every other language except English. Japanese, Chinese, African, pictures, and everything. I'm being spoken to, but my people are afraid of it. And, you know, I'm so grateful that you're on the show that I need direction because I'm being spoken to what to do. And regardless of where I go and what to do, even when it's received, they're still afraid of being elevated.
Well,
so
here's the point.
direction.
Are you speaking in tongues more or less that no one can
I'm
understand?
speaking in language. I've actually had other languages. I've actually been around Arabs that know what I'm saying. I've been in a store that was cheating everybody, and when the spirit said, open your mouth, they knew exactly what I was saying. They repeated it, and they changed everything from cheating people to taking taxes down to everything. And so it's a lot of things going on with me that other people recognize me. But when I'm around my own people and God is trying to elevate them, I mean, speaking both in English and in the spirit.
Well, again, if the spirit is speaking in a language that's understood by those that speak the language, whether it be Arabic, whether it be Indian, whether it be Italian, whether it be Spanish, whether it be Portuguese, if you're speaking in that language, you're an old soul. You're an open vessel of light. You're a soul who now is supposed to be doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You didn't just learn that. You earned that. And that is only being manifested. And if this is the case, you don't worry about those who do not hear. You communicate with those that are supposed to hear. That's why you're then speaking in those tongues. You're causing them to begin to have to understand within themselves that, hey, I am doing wrong. Hey, I am being watched. Maybe there is such a thing as a higher consciousness, and maybe I better watch my P's and Q's. Don't worry about the sheeple. They'll follow anything. Worry about the people who are looking for leadership that is good.
Okay, I have very anointed children. Very, very, very highly anointed children. And they've been through a lot of experiences, but I know what the calling is on their life. And I know they're in a circle around people that have a calling on their life, and I'm exhausted.
Why are you
Like
exhausted? Why are you exhausted? If you've raised your children, your effort is going to be rewarded because you see the rewards of your effort being purveyed through what they do. That should be rewarding, not debilitating. Now, if you're still a warrior out there again trying to awaken, well, that's the path you chose because you probably needed to do that to correct other things you did that were wrong, or you're doing something because you're a volunteer. So take heart in that you're doing the right thing and take heart in that you'll get your reward for it, not only in heaven, but as you do it, because seeing yourself change things that are bad to good should be a reward within itself as you do it. You should be a wonderful person to be around.
Thank you. Please.
All right, thanks for your call, Valerie. Let's go to Walter in Compton. Good morning, Walter. You're on with Dr. Blair.
Good morning. I have two questions. My first one is, what do you believe the spirit is of the transient? Since there's so many more, it seems like now, since I'm in my 40s, since the 60s and the 70s, when you go into the filling stations and stuff, and do you believe that the Supreme Being is more female than male? And I'll take my answer.
Did you say the transients?
Yeah,
are you meaning what?
They're always asking for money. The bums.
The transients, the bums. Well, let's just simply say this: you will always have a people who are downtrodden and broken in spirit. Every 1 out of 50 may be a test for you, just to see how you treat others. But in many cases, people have simply taken that road down because they were broken. They could not handle what they were exposed to. In many cases, I don't feel sorry for them because in many cases, they're getting what they deserve. In many cases, I don't feel sorry for them because they might be reaping what they did in another lifetime is being paid back. But when you see that spark of life, a person who really needs that extra help, you know it. They're not drunk. They're not going to go out and buy some booze as soon as you turn around. They're not going to try and pickpocket somebody as you look around. They're not just begging. They're there with consciousness. You have to be able to determine that. And you give to whom you choose. If your spirit tells you to give it, then give it. Don't worry about what others think. If you can't afford it, you have to, again, protect your own self and your own family first, then give to where it's really needed. As far as gas prices and all these kind of things, these are things that are being set up on Terra, which is the old name for this planet, T-A-R-A, to produce terror, T-R-R-O-R, to begin to make you watch Fear Factor and other things stupidly on these programs to bring out the worst in you so that you don't have time to go collectively in and bring out the best in you and everybody else. Again, choose where you go and what you do carefully. Choose who you spend your time with, who you spend your money with, who you spend your energy with carefully. And first of all, start with self. When you clean up your act, you'll be good for everybody else. Until that time, you're no better than the other beggars, except for one handout, one mischeck, or one terroristic fact that will make you become lower than the animals. If you are strong, stay strong. Help those that are strong, not those that are weak.
15 away from 6. Let's go to Lawrence in L.A. Good morning, Lawrence. I have a problem with Lawrence. Let's keep going. Let's go to Gary in L.A. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. Dr. Blair, I just found a book called They Know Too Much About Flying Saucers, and it's no longer in the libraries or on the shelves anymore. And I was reading an article in a section of that book about these reptilian people you were talking about that were some U.S. Army soldiers doing Burma. They were in Burma. I actually got into a firefight with these guys, and they like suppressed this and never got out to the rest of the world about it. And I was digging through a lot of my uncle's old junk, and we found a newsletter that the Army had been passing around during that time about these people that I guess it was something they was trying to keep quiet. And this book, you can't find this book anywhere on the shelves anywhere because I looked everywhere for it, and it no longer exists.
Well, there are many books. I have many. In fact, that was the one by Gerald Bender. There's a lot of them. The Flying Saucers have landed. They knew too much about flying saucers, and the Three Men, Why We Are Here. I've got a collection of over 500 metaphysical books from way back when. That's another reason I can do a lot of research, because at the time I was moved to buy it, my mother promoted that and helped me to raise my consciousness, and I was able to read those books before they changed them. Some of the unabridged versions are now different, or the abridged versions are now different. The whole story about UFOs is one that is still ongoing. Nothing's changed. The only thing now is that you're getting souls coming in that are used to fighting them, that want this planet to go forth into what we would call the more spiritual union of Sirius rather than the Iranian union of Zeta Reticulans and Dracons. You're being caught up in it now. If you go to our website, you'll find many things about UFOs, about aliens. You'll find about my own experience that happened and changed my whole life. It happened back in 1962. You'll find a lot of things up there, too, that may help you in your search. And most of those books, if I don't have them or haven't read them, I at least understand a lot about it. We can still talk about it if you like.
All right, 1308 from 6 Cliff on the home team. Let's go to Solomon in L.A. Good morning, Solomon.
Yes, Dr. Blair, I'd like to ask you a question about something you mentioned a while back. I'll relate a story to you. A friend of mine said she was riding with a lady she was working for. The lady was like Buddhist, but then she was into some other stuff too. But anyway, the lady asked her, my friend is Christian, but anyway, the lady asked her, said, what did Jesus do in those 40 days she was in the wilderness? And she said, well, Jesus was praying. And then the lady said, no, he was chanting. And she just kept pushing that chanting. He was chanting. And then my friend said the lady's face began to change from a human to like some type of beast, and then back to human, and kept changing like that. Does that represent that reptilian? I think it was a reptilian or something you were talking about a while back.
Well, I'm not sure. There are many shape-shifting consciousnesses and shape-shifting races that are amongst us now. As I say, we don't realize who and what is amongst us. We've got also androids and robots amongst us now, too. We have many androids and robots that are fighting wars and soon will be released. What you run into is what you're supposed to see. It means it's a time in your life where you needed to hear a different truth or see a different truth or see something that would stretch the limits of your consciousness so that you'd be more broad-minded and less convinced that, again, nothing that happens in the movies, everything that happens in the movies is real, but if it happens in real life, it's only a movie. That's something we've got to understand more and more. I don't know what particular incident that happened about it, but as I say again, if it happened, it was for a reason, and yes, I do believe that there are shapeshifters that walk amongst us.
10 minutes away from 6 Cliff on the home team. Got a news update and back. A lot of good stuff coming up at 6. Dr. Blair, tomorrow, 555. What can we expect? Anything?
Yes, I think, again, that not only will you have the energy portal that's opening, and as I, again, suggest to people very fervently, and so spend that day in meditation. If you're working and when you get through doing whatever you're doing or you get a free minute, raise your consciousness. Ask for help. Ask for help from the universal creator. Ask for help from God. Help, again, that the consciousness that you can see amongst you, things that you wish would change for the better, hopefully do that. Say something kind to your fellow neighbor, to your loved ones, and to people who you don't even like, if necessary, again, or at least look at them with a smile. It's a time when the planet will be judging you. It's a time when those portals and those energy fields are opened up to try and see the energy that's really amongst these little cells, which we call us, that are walking on this planet. Be a good cell. Be a strong cell. Raise your consciousness during that 24-hour period someplace within it. If you can come in a family structure and do it, so much the better. And let me say that, too. Up on our website, www.themetacenter.com, there is a universal prayer. It's a simple one. It says, please, universal creator, know in my heart that I love you. Please protect me in this planet on which I live now. Please open my mind, my spirit, and my soul to receive only truth and your love now. It can be downloaded for free. If not, repeat anything in your own consciousness that you believe in. But by all means, don't let that day go by without spending at least 15 minutes, if not all 24 hours, in higher consciousness, asking that the creator and those forces out there that are good help us to deliver us from this terror regime that is about to take us over, and to let us know that there are some good souls down here who are awakened.
So what is so special about it other than the sequence of 5?
Well, the whole point is, again, that sequence of 5 is being redoubled everywhere. Like I say, you've got Cinco de Mayo, you've got the British elections, you've got the portals that are raising again, you got the 5th day. The 5 is simply, again, it's a midway point between 2000 and 2010. People are worried about 2012, as I stated before earlier in your show. 2012 starts a new beginning. It is the 5th dimensional arrival of our planet with the stargates beginning to open. We are in now the portal openings. We are leading to that, and either we fail or live or die or raise the consciousness based on what we're doing now. We're in the midst now of a battle against, again, what does it say? Not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and wickedness in high places. They're making your sons and daughters fight wars against flesh and blood and giving up their lives foolishly. What you have to do is to live diligently so that your consciousness and the reason for your being is heralded here. And let me say also, too, we've been talking about it for years now. There finally is a group out there at the World Beach Center in San Diego that's talking about bringing me in there, and they also wanted to see the reflections from this program and how it was done. And I say, well, tune in to KJLH whenever I'm up there. The audience is great, the modded radio is good, and the station should be covered. So hopefully, again, that not too long from now, I'll either be stopping through LA or San Diego again. But let me also warn carefully out there. There are lots of things happening out there in that ocean. There are lots of things that are potentially devastating. I don't want to dwell on that. If you don't believe that there's a reason, then understand as you live on the coast of the United States and along the coast there from Baja all the way up into Canada again, raise your consciousness. Keep that thought that things can be right, okay. Don't let these machines, these weather-making machines, and these evil people making sacrifices to their terrible gods bring about the destruction of your coast. You can stave off anything you want with focused thoughts. But random thoughts, non-focused thoughts, or I'll get around to it tomorrow, when you get around to it, there might not be anything to get around to.
All right, Dr. Blair, how can folks get in touch with you? How can they get some of those tapes and diodes that you have?
708-422-6685. That's the phone number. On the webpage, www.themetacenter.com, and that's spelled M-E-T-A. Very simple, very short, very sweet. We have an extensive site up there. You can sign our guest list. You can order if you would. And I can only say again, 5/5/2005 to me is another opportunity for people of all races, people of all ages, people of all sexes, people of all religions to come together with one thing. Let's fight a common enemy who wants the planet to go backwards, and let's not fight amongst ourselves, but lift our consciousness and take an opportunity again that the Creator is giving us.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Blair.
Thank you again, Carl Nelson, you and your family. May you live forever and be happy while you do so.
Thanks, Dr. Blair. Dr. Delbert Blair, if you didn't get the number, how to get in touch with him, call the front page hotline at 310-330-2294. I want to remind you the comments expressed on the front page are not necessarily
Detect, observe, nullify. Algorithmic Research Foundation.
Greetings. My name is Alex, and I will be your guide into the basics of becoming an agent of the Algorithmic Research Foundation. Amongst the global network, we tend to just refer to it as the Foundation. To give a bit of history, years ago in the summer of 2012, I was at a meeting of esoteric nature when a young man, well, seemingly young that is, stood up and told those who were practicing certain aspects of esotericism that they're only pulling on the void of reality, which causes much more negative than positive. He was mainly ignored, which he didn't seem to care, but then he went on explaining the nature of our shared existence, how it is manipulated and why. He also emphasized the power we hold. As such, what was really intriguing is that he stated he could show anyone present if they were interested. I called his bluff. He asked me a question. I answered with what I thought was a witty response learned from years of studying, and with simplicity of a few words, he proved I had wasted my time. We walked outside, where he showed me the mechanisms of our reality in action, some of which now shall remain classified, and what a portion became the Foundation and other ventures large and small, including events in the upper Midwest, near the vortex, that took participants through the process of detoxing from the void and how to resist it. The protective lining between worlds is becoming ever thinner each cycle. The murmurings from the void are heard by more people. The pestilence is spreading. We are now in Phase 2 of global operations, and this tutorial shall be utilized as basic training for agents of this world, and those who reside in and outside of known space. Based on merit, advancement in the Foundation is possible, as well as meetings and yearly conferences. Both genders are welcome, as well as anyone over the age of 18. All information, including latest assignments, meetings, news, and more, can be had at the coordinates listed during this tutorial. We welcome you, Agent, and remember to always stay balanced. The Spectre has always been watching. All is known. Detect, observe, nullify.
Detect, observe, nullify. Algorithmic Research Foundation.
Greetings, agents. My name is Destiny, and I have been asked to train you on the basics of detecting a nuance in your environment. Please note this is only basic training and more advanced techniques are available. I will give 3 obvious examples of a nuance. First, let's say you live in an upper class part of town where it's always quiet, no crime of any sort, and this is the daily occurrence and normal for you. And one day, you walk outside and you see panhandlers walking down the street, a horde of them, ravaging the neighborhood in questions of monetary concern. This would be very odd, right? Well, this is a nuance and should be notated. Second example, let's say you're living in the rough part of town. Crime is a daily occurrence, so this is normal for you. But when you walk outside, you see a suited pianist in the middle of the street playing Riviere by Debussy. This would be very odd, extremely in fact, and this would be a nuance and should be notated. Third example, you are driving, and when you pull up to an intersection, every single vehicle is the same color in all directions. This would be odd, right? This is a nuance and should be notated. Nuances can be a person, place, thing, a concept, or even an idea. To give an example of a nuance that you may be familiar with is the classes that took place near the upper Midwest vortex. The very idea of classes like that existing is a nuance, let alone the presenter. The very existence of the Foundation is a nuance. A global, otherworldly organization. Is that not strange? Lastly, nuances may not always be so forefront and noticeable. Keep your eyes open and ears peaked. When these take place, notate what happened, the time, the location, who or what was involved, the outcome, if it concluded, and any other details you may notice. The slightest detail could change an outcome when Tier 2 agents are dispatched. There are other techniques that require a bit more formal training and will be open to agents who put forth earnest effort. Adam will go over specifically how to navigate the website next. We welcome you, agent, and remember to always stay balanced. The Spectre has always been watching. All is known. Detect, observe, nullify.
Detect, observe, nullify. Algorithmic Research Foundation.
Welcome, agents, to the Foundation. I am the Algorithmic Tactical Observing Mechanicum, or commonly known as ATOM. Concerning Tier 1 activities, I am your concierge to new nuances across the plane, dispatching of agents, events and conferences. I am the longest member of the Foundation, created by the hand of the Spectre, 23 years, 4 months, 1 week, 23 hours, 5 minutes and 51 seconds ago. The Foundation shows gratitude for many of you being along on the journey across time and space, with many internal vortexes becoming ever more aligned, decreasing the void's influence in sectors where variances erupt, which is paramount. You will see on your viewing device a description of an anomalous event that took place in Gary, Indiana, USA. This location was stated by multiple eyewitnesses to have high levels of void activity. An agent was dispatched, conducted interviews, and an official location was added to the global network master file. Since then, its location status has been changed to an inactive state because the variance the nuance was housed in has been destroyed. Just because a variance that housed a nuance is destroyed does not necessarily mean the nuance has been nullified. Only precise algorithmic tactics can nullify a variance or nuance event. Not all variances or nuances can be nullified. Next, I will train you on the simple actions of navigating the website to submit a report. Please check the official website for updates, reports, and conventions. Key into your handheld terminal the coordinates of www.arfdon.com. Then on the main menu bar, click on Submit Report. Here you will find all details needed to submit a Tier 1 report to the Foundation. Please disregard the first area of input, which asks for your agent number, as Tier 1 agents do not have an identifier in the database. If you have been added, input your identification here. Advancement is possible based on earnest effort. Merit is a virtue after all. Please stay tuned for future updates. As I now have run computations for agents off-world, we welcome you, agent, and remember to always stay balanced. The Spectre has always been watching. All is known. Detect, observe, nullify.
This enchanted lullaby.
There is no truth until you decide what truth is, and each person should find that truth out for his or herself.
This enchanted lullaby. This enchanted lullaby.
You know what? Global family, look in the mirror. I want you to take a good look. You are the champion, the hero of your story. No matter how much praise you may give some of us who may help you on this journey, it is you who has to walk it. We are only a catalyst to help you see.
Tony, again, I give you accolades for, I don't even know what to say, for all the efforts, man, that you have put in my behalf.
There is no truth until you decide what truth is.
It is you who has to walk it. We are only a catalyst to help you see.
Person should find that truth out for his or herself.
To help you see.
For his or herself.